In the heart of Fairmont Crest, a place where perfection hides behind polished doors, a single act of obsession shatters everything. Leslie's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a message. A whisper that spread through every corner of this flawless community, turning love into fear, and friendship into suspicion. Was it jealousy, revenge, or something far more calculated? Tonight, we unravel the dark truth behind the murder that no one dares to talk about. Welcome to Beyond the Gates, 2025, where every secret has a price, and every smile hides a lie. In the Fairmont Crest neighborhood, the summer sun bathed the rows of luxurious mansions in a gleaming veneer, but beneath the white paint, a strange smell emanated, the smell of doubt, of fear, and of souls rotting with envy. After Leslie's death, everything in the seemingly perfect community fell apart, the glittering shards of secrets scattered everywhere, reflecting the blinding light of sin. Nicole was no longer the woman everyone knew. Her calm was chilling, a calm colder than fear. There was no pain in her eyes, no tears. Every time she passed a mirror, she saw her own face reflected back, pale, unfamiliar, as if looking into someone else's. Somewhere in her mind, something was removed, or buried, it was unclear. Ted, the man who had been at the center of the chaos, was now broken. He wandered his own house like a lost man. Leslie had been a storm he couldn't control, Nicole a wind he couldn't bear. But now, in the silent void, he didn't know who he had truly loved, or just the reflection of himself in them. In the days after the murder, Fairmont Crest was no longer a place of parties and wine, but a maze of rumors. Someone said Nicole was crazy. That she had said she would end it all. That she had come to Leslie's house the night before her body was found. But no one had seen her leave. The police found an earring on the floor, the same piece of jewelry Nicole had worn, but there was only one. Everything seemed to point in one direction. And Nicole, waking up every night sweating and gasping, dreamed of Leslie, her hair disheveled, her lipstick smeared, and her voice like a knife cutting into her brain, "He's mine." The words echoed over and over again, haunting her, making it impossible to distinguish between dream and memory. For a few fleeting moments, she saw herself holding something, then Leslie's silhouette falling, blood splattered on the floor. But the image shattered as soon as she tried to remember. Had she really done it? Or had someone planted the image in her mind like a curse? Kat, a friend who had witnessed Leslie's loss of control, began her own investigation. She dug through old emails and shady transaction records. In an anonymous account, Leslie had received a large sum of money from a businessman with connections to the local council, someone she had threatened to expose the charity fraud. Kat believed Leslie had blackmailed him, and when things got out of hand, he took action. But no one wanted to hear it. Everyone had chosen the easiest culprit, Nicole. Ted was drowning in guilt. He remembered every text message Leslie sent, every rage, every plea, and Nicole's pained look when he returned to his ex. He had created that demon. He had fed Leslie's obsession with his weakness, and now, one of the two women was dead, the other was slowly disintegrating. He looked at Nicole, trying to find innocence, but her eyes said nothing. There was only emptiness like a bottomless pit. The days of investigation dragged on like an invisible sentence. The police discovered a chemical bottle in Leslie's apartment containing traces of a powerful sedative. A similar amount was found in her blood. They hypothesized that Leslie had committed suicide. But the questions didn't stop there. Why was the apartment ransacked? Why were there strange fingerprints on the car? Why was Nicole's earring missing? Someone had staged it, or someone had come after Leslie had died to change the scene, to direct the guilt. Nicole withdrew, not leaving the house. The news showed her being led away for questioning, her face calm and stony. People saw in it a falseness, guilt, or petrified fear. But only Nicole knew, in her mind, there was a void that no memory could fill. She tried to remember that night, the sound of the waves at the dock, the strange scent of perfume on her shirt, someone's hand pulling the door open. Everything was hazy, foggy. Maybe she was there, maybe she had only dreamed she was there. The police closed the case for lack of evidence, but Fairmont Crest never forgot. Leslie's name became a haunting ghost. The more Kat dug, the more scared she became. There was an unsent text message on Leslie's phone, the address of an old storage facility in the suburbs, with the words, "If I disappear, they'll find me here." Kat followed the clues, and in the darkness of the warehouse, she discovered dozens of documents, photos, and a USB drive containing a video Leslie had recorded a few days before her death. In the video, Leslie cried. She said she was being watched, that someone wanted her to stay silent. She was scared. But between her broken sentences, there was one detail that stunned Kat: "If I don't survive, don't trust Nicole. She's not the victim you think she is." That sentence opened another abyss. Leslie might have been threatened, but she might also be manipulating people one last time, even if she knew she was dying. Ted heard the news. He was on the verge of collapse. He no longer knew what was real and what was a lie. His love, his trust, all gone like smoke. He wondered if Nicole had killed someone, or if Leslie had set him up to be dragged down with her. Nicole, when Kat confronted her with the video, was silent. A tear rolled down her cheek, not from fear, but from the realization that she had nothing left to lose. That night, Nicole stepped out of the house for the first time in weeks. The wind blew through Fairmont Crest, carrying the scent of jasmine, Leslie's favorite scent. She walked to the pier where Leslie's body had been found. The yellow lights reflected off the water, swaying in the shimmering spots as if countless eyes were watching her. In that moment, Nicole felt something clearly. Although Leslie was dead, the darkness she left behind lived on, growing in the minds of those who remained, consuming them little by little. Kat realized it first. She began to dream of Leslie. Every night, the knocking on the door sounded in her dreams. Every morning she woke up to a jasmine flower placed on the windowsill. The police said it was just a coincidence, but Kat knew Fairmont Crest was no longer a place of coincidences. Leslie's death was just the beginning of the collapse of everything. Ted gradually lost control. He turned to alcohol, to strangers, trying to forget the obsession, but every time he closed his eyes, the images of Leslie, Nicole, Kat merged in his mind like three faces of the same tragedy. He saw Leslie smiling, Nicole holding a knife, Kat standing between them, and he in the middle, unable to save anyone, unable to save himself. And Nicole, in her last public appearance, stood silently looking at Fairmont Crest through a thin layer of fog, her mouth moving slightly as if talking to someone who did not exist. She knew, whether the truth was revealed or not, she was lost. Not only lost her people, lost her honor, but also lost a part of herself. The darkness Leslie sowed has taken root, and now she is nurturing it, day by day, hour by hour, with her silence. Fairmont Crest, once a symbol of success and prosperity, is now a graveyard of secrets. The iron gate still closes every night, but no one believes it can protect them. Inside, the living carry guilt and doubt, like a virus that never goes away. Somewhere, Leslie may be truly dead, or still watching, smiling, as those who once considered her crazy become just like her, weak, desperate, and full of hatred. Nicole doesn't know if she killed Leslie or not. Maybe she doesn't need to know anymore. Because in the world of Fairmont Crest, the survivors are not the innocent, but the ones who know how to bury their sins deeper than any grave. Kat no longer recognized herself. From being analytical and rational, she became haunted by mismatched pieces. She saw everything through a fog of suspicion. Every look, every smile in Fairmont Crest seemed to have another layer of meaning, a message hidden in the language of power and fear. In the early days, Kat believed she was investigating for justice, to clear Nicole's name. But as the facts began to take shape, she understood that justice did not exist in this place. In Fairmont Crest, only the truth was bought, distorted, and recycled into stories that the powerful wanted people to believe. From the bank transactions, Kat discovered that Leslie had blackmailed not one person, but three. One name sent a shiver down her spine: Thomas Hargreaves, the chairman of the resident council, who held all the permits, assets, and legal control of the entire area. A man so powerful that he could make the police forget evidence, make crimes disappear with a few phone calls. Kat remembered how he had appeared at Leslie's funeral, his face pensive, his condolences calm, but there was a flicker of wariness in his eyes when he looked at Nicole. At the time, she thought it was just a formality, but now she understood that there was fear in that look, fear that Nicole knew too much. In an old file, Kat found the transfer papers for a small plot of land near the dock, where Leslie's body was found. The owner was a subsidiary of Hargreaves's group. A coincidence too perfect to be suspicious. Leslie knew it, and perhaps, she intended to reveal it. But Leslie was too late. The deeper Kat dug, the more she felt like someone was watching her. Her mailbox was opened, documents were shuffled, and strange messages began to appear, always with the same line: "Don't dig too deep, you won't like what you find." Every night, Kat lay listening to the cars outside, each sound making her heart clench. But fear didn't stop her, it only drove her further. She sought out Ted, not to talk, but to observe. Ted was a shadow of himself, his eyes sunken, his breathing heavy. He avoided people, lived among empty liquor bottles and silence. Kat realized he was hiding something, not necessarily a sin, but a truth he didn't dare admit. On Ted's old computer, she found an encrypted folder containing emails between him and Leslie from months ago. Leslie had threatened to go public with a secret about Hargreaves if Ted didn't help her get back together with him. She said she had evidence of illegal dealings, documents that could destroy his reputation. Ted, in a desperate attempt to protect himself and Nicole, had erased all traces, but Leslie kept a copy. Kat understood, Leslie had been killed not because of love, but because she knew something she shouldn't know. Nicole, meanwhile, remained silent. Her silence became so terrifying it was almost ritualistic. She didn't react, didn't defend herself. She seemed to have accepted it all, the suspicions, the accusations, the cold stares. For a moment, Kat thought Nicole had given up, but then something moved in her eyes, not fear, but calculation. She knew something. Maybe Leslie had told her, maybe Nicole had kept evidence, or knew who had killed her. She didn't say it, because the truth was more dangerous than the crime she was accused of. In her fitful sleep, she dreamed that Leslie wasn't dead, that she had only faked her death to make Nicole a sacrifice. In the dream, Leslie smiled, her bloody hand raised in an invitation, and Nicole felt herself being pushed into the water, cold, suffocating. Kat began to rewrite the entire event, hour by hour, day by day, every little detail. She wanted to find logic, but the more she wrote, the more lost she became. The gaps couldn't be filled, the fragments of memory didn't match. Nicole claimed she was home the night Leslie died, but neighborhood cameras caught a figure in a robe that looked like hers leaving the house at 11 p.m. The police said the image was blurry, unconfirmed. Kat reviewed it dozens of times, and in one frame, she saw a car stop at the corner, its headlights aimed straight at the person. The car belonged to Hargreaves. She took the evidence to the police, but the case was rejected for insufficient legal basis. A week later, the hard drive containing the videos was missing, and her house was broken into without any signs of forced entry. It was all too perfect, only someone inside the system could have done it. Kat understood that the rules of the game had changed. She was no longer investigating a case, but fighting against an entire power structure. Ted was stunned when he found out. He looked for Nicole, but she was gone. Her car was left by the river, and on the seat was a small notebook with a single line: "They don't let anyone get away." No one knew where Nicole went, and no one dared to look for her. Some said she had fled abroad, others that she had been murdered. Fairmont Crest returned to a false calm, as if Leslie's death and Nico's disappearance were just passing winds. But Kat didn't stop. She knew she was close to the answer. In one of Leslie's last notes, it read, "If I can't say it, let the truth speak for itself." I sent a copy of the proof to someone no one expected. Kat thought for days. Who was that someone no one expected? She remembered the charity event Hargreaves had organized, where everyone gathered in a luxurious ballroom, where crystal chandeliers reflected off smiling faces. She walked among them, feeling like she was walking in a graveyard of lying souls. There, she saw Ted, his face dark, his eyes lifeless. He walked over to shake Hargreaves's hand, the gesture so natural, so intimate, as if they had made a long-standing agreement. And then Kat understood. It wasn't Leslie versus Hargreaves, it was Leslie, Ted, and Hargreaves who had been on the same side. They had been in shady dealings together, and when Leslie threatened to reveal them, they parted ways. Hargreaves wanted to silence her, Ted feared everything would fall apart, and Nicole became the scapegoat. Kat left the ceremony in the rain. The cold wind cut through her skin, and the rain mixed with her tears. She realized that the truth would not free anyone. It would only make them all more painful. Leslie died for her ambition, Ted lived in guilt, Nicole disappeared into the darkness, and she, the seeker of justice, had lost her soul in a maze of lies. That night, she received an envelope with no sender. Inside was a photograph taken from a security camera at the pier. It was not Leslie falling into the water, but someone else, taller, wearing her coat. Leslie might never have died. She might have changed roles, to escape, to start over, to watch everything fall apart from afar. Kat sat silently, staring at the photograph until dawn. If Leslie were alive, anything was possible. But she didn't know which was more terrifying, that Leslie had died unjustly, or that she was alive, waiting for the right moment to return. The gates of Fairmont Crest opened each morning, closed each night, like the steady breathing of a giant body hiding its decay within. Everyone pretended to forget, but in the darkness, someone was watching. The lights were still on the docks, the wind still blew across the water, and somewhere, in the mist, a slender figure stood watching, lips slightly curved, as if smiling at a new revenge. Fairmont Crest no longer feels like a sanctuary, it's a maze of mirrors, where truth bends and reflections lie. Leslie's death was only the spark. What followed was a storm that tore through every illusion of safety this community ever had. The whispers never stopped, they only changed names. Ted, Nicole, Kat, Danny, each caught between guilt and survival, each hiding something they can't confess. Nicole walks through the ruins of her own silence, haunted by a question she can't escape: did she become the monster Leslie always saw in her eyes? Or has someone carefully rewritten her memories, making her believe in a crime that never existed? Beneath her calm, something burns, a quiet rage, waiting for the truth to surface. And yet, in the shadows of Fairmont Crest, another story begins to move. Files vanish, evidence fades, and witnesses forget what they saw. Maybe Leslie's death was never meant to be solved. Maybe it was meant to remind them all that the real horror isn't in what was done, but in what people are willing to believe. Because beyond the gates of this perfect neighborhood lies something no one can contain: desperation, desire, betrayal, and the need to control the story before it controls them. And as the waves crash again at the same lonely pier, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear: Fairmont Crest isn't haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by the living. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the next chapter, waiting to be written.